And I am going to share my screen.
Yeah, it's in this one. If you have to probably share and then go into.
All right. Okay. So this is the ARPA RFP training. We're going to start off with some quick introductions from our presenters. So my name is Jordan Bales. I'm a senior planner and I am on the ARPA project.
I am Carrie Utterback and I am also on the ARPA project.
I'm Matthew Liu. I'm the Director of Finance and working to help back the ARPA project.
Michael, did you want to
What
introduce
order are we
yourself?
going? Sorry, I didn't know there was an order. I'm Michael Seaman. I'm on ResourceX. I'm basically the tech support here today. I'm helping with the data collection on for the City of Columbia. Chris here is our CEO. He'll say a few words next on ResourceX.
Hi, everyone. Chris Fabian, CEO of ResourceX.
And I'm Michelle Scheikels. I'm with the health department. I'm not presenting, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great.
All right, perfect. So next we are going to do an overview of ResourceX and take any questions. Then we'll move into the scope of services review. And lastly, we will have any questions for finance.
Awesome. I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Mike as well. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Fabian, and I am the CEO of ResourceX. Actually, Mike and I co-founded this company a number of years ago, and we're so happy to be a partner with the City of Columbia for this initiative to take in proposals and prioritize the spending for the ARPA resources. Our company is spread out throughout the United States, and we support local governments throughout the United States and into Canada. And we built a tool specifically to support local governments here in the US as they are assessing how best to deploy the ARPA resources to make the biggest impact in their communities overall. When the resources were coming out, local governments were talking to us about two main objectives overall as they were contemplating the use of ARPA resources. And in general, they were thinking, wow, this is truly a once in a generation amount of funding that's coming to local governments when we need it the most for our communities. And the concerns were, how do we do our best to make sure that we are getting the best possible proposals on the table, that people know about the opportunity to access ARPA resources and can brainstorm and be creative to come up with proposals. So that was objective number one. How do we create a tool that helps to facilitate that as cities are trying to make sure they get the best proposals and interests on the table? And then secondly, with all of these proposals on the table, at some point, the question then becomes, how do we ensure that we have all the right information that we need? Maybe not too much information, because that can be discouraging to proposal development, but the minimum specifications, if you will, to understand the intent of any given proposal and truly be able to evaluate alignment of any given proposal towards the overall objectives and benefits for the residents of a community. So that was the intent for the platform that we developed overall. And it's so exciting to see the amount of participants and those who have registered to submit proposals overall. I'm going to turn it over to Mike, if that sounds good to you, Mike, for a little bit of a deeper dive into the platform itself.
Yeah, sure. We'll keep it pretty quick here, but I wanted to kind of give sort of an overview live while we're all on the call here today. Yeah, I'll share my screen. That's great. Thank you. Oh, can you enable me, please? Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. So quick overview here. You should have received an email from us with your email as your login and a temporary password. The address is given here. It's also in that email. There's also a user guide with all the details. You can check that out there. I'll try to hit on the quick highlights of that guide, but that's there as a backup. It's on the city site, right our news, 4th tab over, piece of cake, the ResourceX user guide. Okay. And also, by the way, today I'll leave my email. I'm here for tech support. You're welcome to email me with little login issues. If someone has a login issue, sometimes quite often we can take care of it through Zoom chat. You know, if you send me a message, I'll kind of be watching for that, but we'll figure it out, no problem. So I wanted to just give a quick overview. I know some people have actually gotten in there, and I don't think it's too difficult, but you know, I understand how it goes. After logging in, you'll be on this screen here. You will enter your proposals by clicking on this gear. And I've created myself a little test account under Columbia. You won't have any proposals, but you'll just simply click add a proposal. And on this screen, just give it the basic information. I'm watching the chat here too a little bit, but just give it the basic information, a title and a short description is what we're looking for here. I got a couple tests here for you as a demo. And, you know, we said keep it 4 to 6 sentences, like Chris was saying. You know, we're not, ideally, it's sort of an abstract. Add proposal. Okay. And then you'll see it on this in the table below after you click add. And then the next step is where we get into kind of all the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Click update. And then there you just have a simple form here with some questions that we've worked with the City of Columbia to what they would like to see from all their proposals and collect from everyone. So the first part is just some basic contact information from your organization and your program administrator's name and contact. Let us know if you're a nonprofit. I think we've got all nonprofits so far. And then also the City of Columbia is also very nice. They're offering some help with grant writing. Let them know if you need some assistance. We're going to talk a little more about this today, but select the categories that your proposal targets. And then this other middle section here is just some questions. I think these questions help the city, you know, really understand where you're coming from. And this is the sort of introductory level information we're looking to get. And then, you know, please agree to this statement and save your changes. It's basically about it on this first page. Second page, I'll put in a couple other information here. Just click some things. I want to show this in a second. Second tab. Okay, outline the requested amount over 23, 24, 25, 26. And if you can let us know if there's a long-term stability plan for how you're going to maintain this effort. A few sentences here. And then to just give a little more details, there'll probably be follow-ups here, but this is sort of a you know, a first collection or first brush through here. We got a budget template for you to fill out to provide just a touch more details than these boxes above. You can just download that. And then Carrie and Jordan and Michelle and her team have provided just kind of a guideline for some things to fill out. I should open up here in a second. Oh, that's probably down here. Yeah, 1 second. Oh. So put your estimated expenses in here. Tell us what you think it's going to be. Save it. Remember to save it. I mean, that's a common error. If you just upload it back without saving it, it'll just be blank. And you can always check too. So then here's the upload. Find that template. You'll see it appear here. There it is. You can download it back to check it out. And here it is. Piece of cake. $101. And then you can also provide any other additional information you'd like to know that's not captured in this form. You can use the delete to remove anything that you've uploaded by mistake, or if you want to correct this, you can delete this and update a new one. Save your changes. And that's really about it. I was trying to stay brief. One thing you can also do is you can download all the information you've uploaded in Excel. This will show you what's being stored in the back end for your proposal. It's essentially all the information. I just kind of wanted to highlight this because this is what the city will be getting from everyone. With this basically be an aggregate, they'll get the aggregated version of this for all proposals submitted. We will be delivering this as well as a PDF of the information so they can review all these proposals. That's kind of the main point of the software. That is it. I can take any questions, or I haven't been able to see anything in chat. Here is my email if anyone needs it. That is what I had for you all today.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any questions for the ResourceX team for now? If not, we will go ahead and move on. Oh, Michael, you may have to assign us the host if you don't mind.
Okay, no problem.
Perfect, thank you.
Right.
All right. Okay, and can everyone see our screen? Perfect. Okay, so we are going to move on to going over the scope of services documents. So the city is accepting proposals at this time for workforce development and community violence. So first we have workforce development. The overarching goals are increased workforce preparedness, increased career awareness, increased education or skill attainment, increased workforce participation, and improved job retention. So activity measures should reflect 36 months of activity with a plan to become self-sufficient after 3 years. The full proposal will ask applicants to cite evidence, as well as describe equity, focus, and approach, and any community partnerships they may have. These are some examples of programming for workforce development. So we have school to career, employment opportunities and partnerships, youth development, comprehensive services, maker spaces, and job readiness programs. I also did want to point out that the final rule for ARPA lists some enumerated uses. So these are clear and eligible uses for ARPA funding. There are uses beyond those enumerated that are permissible, but they will require a justification in the full proposal. So these are some of the enumerated uses related to workforce development in the final rule. We have things like job training, incentive for newly employed workers, development of job and workforce training centers, as well as disproportionately impacted small businesses can receive assistance for micro business support, technical assistance, and rehabilitation of commercial properties. And I think now we will move on to community violence.
We are also taking proposals for community violence. So that it has to include coordinated community-based strategies for community violence, including prevention, intervention, enforcement, and reentry. An applicant should be willing to work with the city, law enforcement, residents, and other community organizations. The goals should be to reduce violent crime, reduce gang-related activities, increase safety in neighborhoods, decrease crime in neighborhoods, increase safety of youth, decrease juvenile crime, and reduce the disproportionate minority contact with police. This is outlined in the 4 pillars of the Mayor's Task Force on Community Violence, which includes included in the 4 pillars are prevention, so parenting and support services, after-school programs, gun buybacks, and projects that address developmental risk factors that influence likelihood of committing a crime. Intervention could include mentoring programs, focused deterrence, violence interruption, and expansive expansion of youth-oriented spaces. The other two pillars are then enforcement and reentry. So in enforcement, we have community trust building between law enforcement and Black community, cultural competency training for law enforcement, home ownership and rental rebate programs to incentivize police officers to live within the communities they serve. And reentry includes developing and providing supportive services for individuals who are currently incarcerated, rerouting incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals, and preparing incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people to get and keep livable wage jobs. So just like in workforce development, the activity measure should reflect 3 years of activity and plan with a plan to become self-sufficient. The full proposal will include the opportunity to cite your evidence basis, describe your equity focus and approach, and describe community partners. So the enumerated uses then for community violence are referrals to trauma recovery services for victims of crime, community violence intervention programs such as focused deterrence with wraparound services of behavioral health, trauma recovery, job training, reallocation and housing services. And then in communities experiencing increased gun violence due to the pandemic, enforcement efforts to reduce gun violence, and then technology and equipment to support law enforcement response. I know that was a lot of things. So are there any questions on the scope of services? The scope of services is available on beheardcomo.gov, along with the links to ResourceX and a lot of other helpful links. We will, I see Mark's question in the chat about a copy of the recording. And yes, we will be uploading that to Be Heard once we get it finalized. Thank you, Mark, for that question. Does anyone have any questions for Matthew Liu, our finance director?
We got a quiet group today.
Matthew, did you have anything you wanted to share that we missed?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. But I would just share that if there are any additional questions or anything, you can always reach out to myself or the team to help with any questions you may have.
So we have a city email if your question is more about the process and not about ResourceX. We're using the email arpa@como.gov, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So if you have a question for the city. Okay, hearing no questions, I will assume that folks will follow up with one of the presenters if they have questions later. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and we look forward to these proposals rolling in.
Thank you.